Going for two. It's your boy Dan here at the B League Says, coming at you with week two's playoffs push for the B League Pick'ems. Yes, that's it. We are here with another earlier week edition of your show, which is fantastic. We're going to start punching out some props brought to you via Underdog.com, Underdog Fantasy. It's a fantastic platform, one of the best going about. Got to get around it. Obviously, you got your promo code there, GF2. 100% matching deposit up to $100. As always, come find us in the Discord. Look, we're repping the Gambit today. We're going to represent the Gator and the Gambit over there. Kyle and everyone over there, thank you for all you do on a Thursday night. Get around them. They got their own channel on Discord. You can come find us on Discord. They're going for 2 server over there, which is fantastic. Stick about after the show tonight. Obviously, we have the Armchair Show, obviously, every Wednesday night. Ryan and Jeff and anyone else that joins on as a guest, which is fantastic to watch. As well, as always, if you haven't already, subscribe, find us, subscribe, hit the alerts, find out when your shows are on. Go over to YouTube, get around it. As always, the promo pimp has you covered. Welcome in again one more time for week two's playoffs. Last week was a bit of a mixed bag. It was kind of weird. The harder props I hit on, they were, weirdly enough, they were the ones that everyone got a little bit of pushback on a few of them. Tony Pollard under and receiving yards. I explained it pretty clearly why it wouldn't happen, and there it goes. Joe Burrow wasn't going to hit that quota, and there it goes. They got a bit of pushback on that, but easy ones like a layup. Justin Jefferson, what are you doing, buddy? Little ones like that against the Giants, one of the worst secondaries in the NFL, and he goes for like 30 yards, and he got held down pretty well. It was one of those weird weeks where some of the props, it was kind of odd. It was really odd. Yeah, I mean, Ramble's about right, mate, because at this point of the year, if we can't get it right, we're all in trouble. I mean, I'm here, yeah, pretty much. I'm the same. I don't need Jeff down my back. I don't think he even knows that I was doing the show on a Friday, on a Wednesday today. I think I just posted it as I'm doing it today. Normally it's on a Friday night. Everyone knows this, but it's at that point of the year where I'm just going to roll it out whenever I can. It's going to be Wednesday. That's it. Take that. That's what we got. Melting face shrug emoji. There we go. That's where we're going. Daytime Dan. Yeah, it's brutal. It hits Friday night, and I'll sit down and I'll have a beer and I'll do the show and I feel great. But to be honest with you, like drinking a beer before I pick my kids up from school at 2:00 on a Wednesday doing a show, I don't feel too great about it, but, I just want to keep those teachers on their toes. Is he a neglectful parent? Is he really bad? Does he drink during the day? Does he have a job? Yeah, of course I have a job. I'm not a neglectful parent. I just like a beer with my show. Let's just get around it. Have a few bevies, a couple of frothies. Get on it. Lunchtime frothy. Who doesn't like a lunchtime frothy? Everyone likes a lunchtime frothy. Either way. Again, last week was a weird one. Oh, Yeti showed his face. How about them Giants, huh? Minnesota purple people eaters. They ate something, all right? Brutal. But it was an interesting week. Again, like Austin Eckler against the Jags. That should have been an easy one. And it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was really a tough one to kind of go through. It was really weird. So, welfare don't give a shit about that, Troy. They don't care about that. Department of was it Child Services? They don't care about if I'm awesome. They just want to make sure I'm sober most of the time. Either way. Vanilla Vic did look majestic, yes. White Swan gliding along in the frozen tundra of Minnesota. It was weird. It was the complete game from him. It was everything that I don't want to say as a Giants fan, but I don't want to speak of, obviously I'm a Giants fan. I don't want to speak on behalf of the Giants fan base, but like everyone's seen those games where he's thrown really well and done nothing else and made mistakes, or he's rushed really well, but he's thrown kind of poorly and made mistakes. The last time I saw him play that well was his debut game against Tampa. It was like a few years ago. It was like week 3 and he went bonkers, and it was like, oh shit, that's why we drafted him? Okay, he's all right. If he keeps on this trajectory and refines a few things, he might be all right. And then nothing for the next 2.5 years. It was nothing since then. So it's the first time he's looked decent in a while. Yeah, I mean, the Vikings defense, listen, it was a weird one to say because, again, when people were talking about the Vikings, everyone says, I want to draw the Vikings. Everyone wants to play the Vikings in the playoffs. And I'm sitting there going, as a Giants fan, we struggle to put up 21 points a game. So it's one of those things where like everyone's like, oh, you played against the worst defense. Okay, but we outscored a top five offense. Like that's what you got to look at, right? Like we outscored a top five offense, which is something we never do, like ever. And most of the games the Giants win, you'll see it's like 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and Jones will like drag him up with Barkley and they get over. This is like a game where they actually took over from start to finish. I haven't seen the Giants do this ever. Like not since Jones has been there. It's been a long time. Not since Daboll's taken over either. I don't think they've played a game that complete. And even their defense, like Jefferson, like, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit when they obviously we're talking about Philadelphia and the Giants, but like they knew who they wanted to give up to have the game, and it was clear it was TJ Hawkinson. Because you didn't hear about Thielen, Osborne, or Jefferson after a while. So, you know, it was one of those weird games, but we'll get to that in a little bit. No one does like the Eagles. Oh, you can't have me saying that. I can't. I'm going to have to speak on it, boys, on me. I don't want to deal with that. It's just, terrible. Giants are terrible. They suck. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, come on. We're the worst 8-1 team to make the playoffs and win a game, right? That's the narrative we're going in with. Either way. Look, I'm 6 minutes in. I've plugged a few things. We're going on. We're going to hit into the first game of the week. Obviously, no, it's a little bit weird, obviously, because there's only 2 games on Saturday, 2 games Sunday or whatnot. So we're going to crack on into that. Look, first game's first. Jaguars at Kansas. Jags get the 8.5-point bump. Over-under is 53. Look, the hell is this? Player location check? Oh, my dear God. Get away from me. What is this doing up here? Don't allow. Get away. My Google's going nuts on me. Look at that. I'm not much of a tech guy. Jeff knows this. Either way, I hope you can still hear me. Let's kick on. Yeah, I mean, 53 can happen if the Jags can keep up, I think. And I kind of feel like Kansas are a bit of I was thinking about this the other day. For those who are watching and those who are listening on the podcast, I just want you guys to think, like, I'm trying to think of a wide receiver that's been of any use to Kansas since Tyreek Hill has left or before him. Like, Macklin was there, didn't really do too much. He got hurt. Dwayne Bowe wasn't really a thing. Outside of Tyreek Hill, I'm trying to think of a wide receiver that's done something. Because, like, this is a game, like, obviously you can half exploit Jacksonville, but it feels like it's going to be a Travis Kelce game. I'll talk about him in a second, but either way, like, they've been really spreading the ball around a fair bit, and obviously the ground game, Jerick McKinnon's been a thing. Really weird from Kansas. It's kind of hard to watch, to be honest with you. It's kind of weird. Either way, I think Kansas should cover 8.5. I don't think Jacksonville will do too much. I think they're in a bit of trouble this week. They had a great week last week. I don't think you can do what they did to the Chargers to Kansas. That's it. That's not going to happen. Christian Kirk, 5.5 receptions higher. We're going to go Chiefs. Look, they give up the 8th most receptions to receivers in the NFL. Even though the yards tend to not be as high as what you think, but the receptions are there, and I feel like he's going to be that guy that they go to quite frequently as enough. And again, like, this also keeps guys like Zay Jones at 5 receptions and Evan Ingram at 4.5. It keeps those guys in play as well. I don't think too much about Marvin Jones. He might be good for a touchdown here or there, but I'm not really sure that this is where we can – I think we can draw the line in Marvin Jones right now and say, yeah, he's done in that regard. But look, had a bit of a dry spell towards the end of the season, Christian Kirk. I think everyone that's watched Jacksonville will say he's a bit up and down. He kind of went quiet then. Obviously, Zay Jones had a few big weeks. Evan Ingram had a few big weeks, which was wild as well. Again, Giants would have won 3 Super Bowls if Evan Ingram knew how to catch a ball. Either way. Look, if he can get anywhere near 7 targets, which is something he should be able to do, he should be able to hit that at 5.5, 6. He should be fine. He should be fine in that regard. He should hit. He's managed to not hit 7 targets twice since week 6. So he's going over that quite easily. So I feel pretty good about Kirk. He's going to catch everything thrown his way. It's very rare that he doesn't. So I like that for him this week. Obviously, I spoke about him a little bit. Travis Kelce, 6.5 receptions higher. But primetime Kelce, it's here. All right. And the fluff, Justin Watson, all that sort of stuff. Sky Moore, get out of here. Mecole Hardman and his pelvis, get out of here. Juju Smith-Schuster and his, get out of here. It's not going to happen. Look, it's playoffs time. Primetime Kelce Mahomes. That's what he's going to go to the Old Faithful, and this is good. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Get out of here. Forgot about him too. Piss off. All right, that's it. It's the Mahomes-Kelce playoff tour. This is what we're going with. And look, I'm going with it. I've mentioned it before offline to a few other people. It's going to be the Andy Reid Bowl this year. It's going to be Philadelphia versus Kansas in the Super Bowl. I just want to see which way his heart rips. I like it. Philadelphia hate everyone, but like not Andy Reid. They can't hate Andy Reid, can they? And then here we go. They love Andy Reid still. Hey, he's a good dude, isn't he? He's pretty good. His son's a bit of a dickhead, though, isn't he? That's not the point either way. Look, the lines have come down in the regular season. His lines have come down as the regular season wound down a little bit. But look, I feel like they're going to ramp up with aplomb. Jags just had Gerald Everett put a career day on him. Like, Gerald Everett just went bananas. I'm like, okay, Gerald Everett, great job. Well done, Brandon Staley. Thank you for Gerald Everett's game. Well done. They give up the fourth most yards to the position. His line's at 80 as well, so that's in play as well. So I like that for Travis Kelce along the board. I think he's going to have a big, big game. If I had to have an alternate pick, seems a bit risky, but Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to go lower than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Everyone wants to get on him because he went stupid. He went stupid for, 4 last week, which is fine, but a lot of mistakes. You're not going to get away with that in Kansas as well. It's a low line, high-scoring game, so he should be able to put that away, and I feel like they can exploit them on the ground a little bit too. So I think ETN, it was at 68.5 rushing. I feel like that's in play as well. But look, 10 games this year, Trevor Lawrence. He's had 10 games where he hasn't hit over 1.5 passing touchdowns, which you wouldn't think, but that has happened. So I kind of feel like we might be in a full goal. Like the games that he's had 3, 4, 3, whatever. But when he doesn't, he doesn't. He has one or none. Noah Gray masterclass. Get out of here. Okay, 15.5 yards. All right, Gators amongst it. The Gator. We got the Gambit. Go on, get amongst it. Yeah, no one likes the Eagles. McKinnon can have a big game. I feel like his line was at 30.5 receiving, which could happen as well. There's not a lot of props this week that I don't like in regards to this game. Especially those higher promo pimp. Yep, got the Gambit. That's what we're here for. We're getting in a day early. It's very rare that I look at a lot of outcomes and go under, or high across the board. It's one of those things where this week I'm sitting there going, this game, I feel like it could go off, but I could also see where Trevor Lawrence palms it off to Etienne, and he has himself a day. JaMychal Hasey's going to have a rushing touchdown. Stupid things like that's going to happen this week. Doug Peterson's going to do that to us. I can feel it. He always did that. He's going to throw Nate Sudfeld in. He's going to ruin everything. That arsehole. Either way, game 2, we're looking at the Giants plus 7.5 at Philly, over under 48. I feel like Philly should be able to cakewalk this, and I feel like the Giants at 7.5 is still a bit lenient. So I'd even take Philly. Philly really should put the Giants through the ringer. Look, when you said Minnesota before, I get every now and again they have that stumble. When they don't, they put up 40, 45. I get it when Minnesota does that, but Philadelphia don't. And that's the problem. Philadelphia really should put 8, 9, 10 on the Giants. I would think at home in prime time pretty comfortably. That's just where I'm at with this. That's not a Giants pessimism thing. That's just the reality of Philadelphia have been that team the whole way along prior to Jalen Hurts getting hurt. It was hard to not watch them every week. They were just unbelievable. So we look at this, and I'm sitting there thinking Jalen Hurts, 241.5 passing yards. I'm actually going to take the under on that. I'm going to lower. Look, I feel like there's still a bit of unknown. They're talking about maybe he dinged it up a little bit against the Giants a couple of weeks ago. The Eagles are playing a little bit coy with the media about it. Look, I feel like the way through the Giants is going to be him on the ground. He's done it to us before. I don't think you need him throwing for 250 when he's going to punch 80 on the ground, and that's going to be it. Call it a day. I really don't think that is. So, the 4 games, versus rival, he's never thrown for more than 240 before. He got close the last time we played with him, 235, give or take. He's had a couple sub 200 passing yards, but he just dissects us on the ground. He's just very hard to control in that regard. I do like Daniel Jones at 45.5 rushing yards going higher, though. I feel like that's an absolute lock. Look, we only have to go back to Stumblegate a couple seasons ago. Oh, he fell over, he tripped. How funny. He ran for 95 yards. What do you like? That's pretty damn good, too. You missed the touchdown. He ran 95 yards, and he tripped at the end. Get over it. He still ran 95 yards. Come on. He ran for $130 that game. Something stupid. Ridiculous. And then Nate Sudfeld played and shit all over everything the NFL believes in. Either way, look, the truth is Daniel Jones kind of does do well on the ground against the Eagles. He's 48 yards per game on average. He's pretty good in that regard. So it's healthy. And it's up around that mark. And then when he go for 100 yards this week against Minnesota, something ridiculous. Double-digit carries. his recent form's been pretty impressive. 203 rush yards his last 3 games, average of 68. So the plan for Daniel Jones is there. It's going to be on the ground. It's going to be there. I don't think that's going to be hard to really think won't happen. He's very good at it, and he's very good at it against the Eagles. And 45.5, I don't think the lines have adjusted yet after this week, and they tend to take normally they're pretty good at adjusting the lines when they see the trend happening, but it hasn't moved for Jones, which is kind of weird, I think. So either way, alternate pick for me. Look, I mentioned it before how the Giants, they played Minnesota last week, and it wasn't Jefferson, it wasn't Thielen, it really was TJ Hockenson. Forget the last play in Kirk Cousins. He had a pretty amazing game last week anyway. One play yes, one play should determine if you had a good game or not, because that's the deciding play. That's what you paid $40 million a year to do. However, prior to that one play, Kirk Cousins was pretty awesome last night. I think he was pretty amazing. I think he did really well. His line let him down a few times. So I think he did pretty good. But either way, it was clear that TJ Hockenson was the play. Giants might do the same thing. They might try to slow down A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I love Devontae Smith this week as well, just quietly. But look, Dallas got 47.5 receiving yards. I think he's going higher. If they do try to slow them down, he's going to be the free banana, and he's going to be the one that's there. So anytime you see a tight end north of a 45-yard quota that isn't Kelsey Andrews, you got to kind of pause for a second, because, tight ends are generally shit. But before getting injured, he only had 2 games under 60 receiving yards, and he's been above 45 in 3 of his last 4. So I like him bucking the trend forward again. One more week. I kind of like it for him. What do we got here? Well, is it on snow or is it in a swamp? I'm not going to say one way or other. Look, if it's in a swamp, I think the Yeti might struggle. Humid conditions, hard to breathe, might get a bit of heat stroke. Gator knows how to navigate through the grass and mud. Not going to see him coming. Blends into his environment. Then you start talking about, if it's in a tundra, a frozen tundra, Gator ain't going to last belly first on the snow. It ain't going to happen. Gator ain't going to get nowhere near. What's his outcome? He's going to go into the water? He's going to freeze to death. Won't even get to the Yeti before he gets there. So, it depends. I think home field advantage is a big point of this. 4.740. It's all in the stride, mate. That's the thing. It's all in the stride. He takes off around that 30-yard mark. That stride gets going, poof, gone. Thought that was Brock Purdy. Quick, sell Trey Lance. Sell him. Brock Purdy's taking his job. Okay, come on. Get out of here. Either way, we're going to crack on into game 3. But before we do again, we're going to do a promo check. We're going to talk about going for 2 at Underdog.com. Promo code GF2, 100% matching deposit up to $100. Listen, the whole point of you watching the show and listening to this program or finding this later, come on, throw a few bets on. I've already thrown a handful on already. I'm doing it as we go. That's what I'm doing. Bite into my own gimmick. That's what we're doing. We're just going to punch these gimmicks. That's what we're doing. But get amongst it. Get amongst your own betting. That's what we're going to do. If not, come find us in Discord. We're always there over the weekend talking about our bets, whatever it may be. We're going to do all that sort of stuff, so you can find them, discuss. Also, great. Look, we got mock drafts going up. Obviously, the rookies have been punched in the sleeper. Mock drafts are going to start flowing. A couple best ball bets. They're going to happen on Underdog as well. Jeff will post them on Twitter and in the Discord as well. As always, find us on YouTube. Hit the alert, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Share it with a friend, share it with a family. That way everyone can get all the best information possible, and we can all have fun together, because we're just one big happy community. Promo pimp does it again. We're going to head into game 3. Drinking a beer and firing darts as we firing darts. That's about right. Well, fire and darts means something different where I'm from, so I don't know what that means in Minnesota, but if it means what I think it means, that's pretty funny. Either way, we're going to head off into our Cincinnati and Buffalo. Look, it's the game that could have been a few weeks ago. Different field, I think, this time, though. It was at Cincinnati the last time that happened. So, obviously, there's a lot that's going on. I feel like this is going to be kind of cathartic for a lot of people. They're going to watch this game, and Damar Hamlin, he's at home now, which is great. And all that sort of stuff. And, I feel like Cincinnati are going to want to come out firing, because they look pretty sharp prior to the injury or incident happening. Buffalo looked like Buffalo. They either take a bit of time to get going. Once they do, they get rolling. They're pretty good. So it's a bit of an interesting game. So I'm looking at this Cincinnati +5 at Buffalo over under 49. +5's a weird one. You don't see that often, do you? 49, that should go over, though. Can they win by 2 field goals? Yeah, it might win by a touchdown. I think I'll take Cincinnati +5. I don't like that at all. Buffalo 49. Yeah, I'll take 49 and Cincinnati +5. Either way, we're going to talk about a few player props as we go for this game. Obviously, there's a few that are here. Fuck yeah, James. Fuck yeah, James. I'm going to leave that one up there. Fuck yeah, Dan. That's it. Either way, we're going to hit off into this one. Look, pick number 1 for my props of Cincinnati versus Buffalo. Look, it's going to be T. Higgins. We're going to go lower than 67.5 receiving yards. Look, he's collapsed at the end of the year. Obviously, he got a hamstring injury. He's been in a bit of a problem. It's quite the story, really, because it goes hand in hand with what I'm about to talk about next. Look, hasn't really done much. He had one big game against New England. He struggled to punch over 40 yards, really, 3 or 4 out of his last 5, give or take. He's really been nowhere, to be frank. He's not really been about. So I feel like that's really more of something. Obviously, he's going into a contract year as well, T. Higgins. So that could be something more that we're looking at. I'm going to take the lower line here on him. He's just not been about. He's kind of been nowhere. And look, obviously, when that happens, we can look at Joe Burrow going lower than 273.5 passing yards again. Like, we look at these lines for Joe Burrow. This isn't 2021 where he was torching people for 400, 450. It just wasn't. It's just not happening, right? So we said last week, like, Baltimore keep this guy outside of last year when they had no secondary available. They keep this guy to about 210, 215. What does he do? 210, 215. It's very ominous with that. Now, you look at the fall of T. Higgins as we go. His yards are basically falling about what T. Higgins is leaving behind. So if his line's at 260 and T. Higgins is lined for 60, he goes for 10. Burrow misses by about 50 every time. Like, this is, you can have a look. Like, the correlation's there. It's kind of wild. But again, like, we're looking at 273.5. Again, and I think also the line is going to be high as well. They're going to look at what he did that first quarter against Buffalo. People are going to go, he was going to go for 300. He might have, yeah, but maybe he won't this time. And that's the other side of it too. So, you know, he's had 270 yards once since week 13. That's a thing to happen. And, you know, he's kind of, again, like, they've been managing games. They've been managing themselves through games. And, like, it's just not this electric team that you can see from a year ago. It's not the same team at all. And I'm worried that they're going to get Buffalo. And Buffalo are erratic as hell. They give me fits. I get epilepsy when I watch it because I don't know what's going on. Allen's going to throw 5 touchdowns, 6 intercepts, 3 fumbles, run for 130, and punch out 470 through the air. I don't know what the hell just happened. That's how I feel when I watch Buffalo. It's going to happen again. But the thing is, the problem I have is Joe Burrow. It feels like he's always in cruise control. He's doing the same thing. It doesn't feel like it's getting out of second gear, and that's a problem for me. And we're talking about a line that is high that he hasn't hit for nearly 6 weeks. I don't think I want to get behind that again. Alternate pick for this game, Stephon Diggs, higher than 79.5 receiving yards. 2 words, Eli Apple. That's what we got here. We got Eli Apple and Stephon Diggs. Yeah, okay. I'll give that to me every day of the week. Get out of here. Diggs is going to destroy him. So, look, it's going to be similar to what I spoke about with Kelsey Mahomes. We're going to find that playoff tour. We saw it last week, what Diggs did to Miami. It was just ridiculous. He blows up the first half, disappears in the second, but he might do enough in the first half to get 79.5 cleared quite easy. If I am wrong, which can happen, and Cincinnati do something different to what we've seen over the past 6-7 weeks, he's only going to get more involved as the game goes on, which isn't a bad thing either. So I feel like Diggs might blow this away by halftime, and he could cover, and from there, we're talking about gravy at this point. So it's a hard one to pick because, again, these two teams can go hard very quick, very frequently, but again, like, what Buffalo did against Miami last week was kind of weird because they really should have put that away quicker instead of inviting them back into the game. And really, like, against the second-string quarterback for Cincinnati, who they played a week before against Baltimore, they really should have done a little bit more, I think, than what they gave us. But either way, should be an interesting game. I'll give you peanuts for Joe Mixon. I'm going to counter with some trail mix because that's what I'm getting right now. Arsehole. Either way, we're going to no one wants to trade for Joe Mixon or Austin Eckler or anyone. This is the world that I'm living in. Dynasty zealots, you fucking assholes. Either way, we're going to get to the last game of the week. We're going to go Dallas at San Fran. This is an interesting one because I think Dallas has been given, look, what they did to Tampa. I think, let's start with Tampa for a second. Tampa have been in these games where they've been hanging around and they somehow managed to win, right? Dallas weren't messing around last week. And that's the Dallas that I think everyone thought was coming at the start of the year. And they've had moments, they've done this here or there. Like, if you're ever going to play like that consistently, it's now, right? Like, now's the time to do it. 5 touchdowns from Dak. Gallup looked good. Pollard looked good. Lamb looked good. Schultz looked good. That's what Zeke looked like shit. We'll get to him in a minute. Either way, it's one of those things where that's what they did to a team with I guess, a decent defense like Tampa. Even within their struggles, I don't think we've really looked at their defense and said, "Oh my god, they're no good." They're just, Brady turns the ball over, short field, they get hit. It is what it is. It feels like that's been their whole season, but either way. Thank you, Chris Godwin, for hitting over and Tony Bollard for hitting under last week. It was fantastic. Either way, we're going to get onto these props. Look, Dallas plus 3.5 at San Fran over under 46. I think this is going under. I think this one's going to be lower than 46. Dallas will play him tight. So I'll take Dallas 3.5. I'll lose by 3 maybe. I'll take Dallas 3.5 under 46. I'll take that. I don't mind that too much. Brock Purdy, 236.5 passing yards. Higher. We're going to go higher. And when it drops, because it'll drop this weekend, we're going to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns as well. He's going to do it again against the Cowboys. I like him this week. Look, Tom Brady's a different animal. I don't want to talk about Tom Brady and Brock Purdy because you guys have taken it out of context all the time. But Tom Brady, he nearly had 70 pass attempts last week? Something stupid. Brock Purdy's not going to do that. He doesn't need to do that with CMC, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. He doesn't need to do that, right? It's unnecessary. You don't need to throw it 70 times like Brady did because these dudes in Tampa, they don't want to turn up. So, look, on a short week for Dallas and at home, because it is a short week, Monday night into Sunday? I don't think that's very fair. That kind of sucks, doesn't it, for Dallas? Either way, look, Purdy last week smashed for over 300 yards for the first time in his career, but he knocked only 236 once before in week 17. So he's only really hit that quota once. He had the big week. So maybe this is a bit of fool's gold with a liner that's a little bit higher that's been jousted by his massive performance last week. But, 236 2 weeks ago, 300 this week, I can see where it is. Last 4 games, averaging 232. Obviously, Deebo Samuel coming back helps that. CMC is firing. George Kittle starting to work in a bit more. They really hit their stride at the right time of year. Look, Dallas giving up around 220 yards per game during the regular season, so there's that to deal with as well. Again, a full healthy condition for San Fran, a chunk play here or there from CMC, Kittle or Deebo, which happens frequently. I think it gets him there, and I like that to happen this week. Also, I don't think we've spoken about this. It's the old OC versus the old DC of the Atlanta Falcons. So let's see who chokes first, Dan Quinn or Kyle Shanahan. I think that's an interesting one. No one's spoken about that. That's an interesting one we got there. Pick 2, Deebo Samuel. We're going higher than 54.5 receiving yards. Look, he's back. Deebo's back. 130 yards. Go on, boy. Go on. 133 last week. First time he's top 56 week 13. It's been a weird year for him. Obviously, the holdout at the start of the year, comes back, doesn't really work in, gets hurt, comes back. Playoffs are coming, let's not use it too much. Off he goes, frog in a sock. Off he goes. He's good for the big play. That's the thing. In Dallas, they do give up the big play here or there. It does happen to them a little bit more frequently. It's going to be very hard to have your eye on Christian McCaffrey one side of the backfield and Deebo on the other. Just what are we doing here? So they might be in a little bit of trouble. Like Tampa, they had no answers. Not really. I think they're going to be in a bit of trouble this week. I really do. I think Deebo's going to have that big, big week. So, I like that for him. CMC once, just unbelievable. Kittle roaming around. And you got big old Brandon Ayuk just there for that long ball. It's just 233.5 and then 54.5 for Deebo. My God. Alternate pick this week, Tony Pollard, 48.5 rushing yards. I hate the pick, but I'm going higher. Look, San Fran, they give up the fewest rushing yards per game to the running back. They give about 59 yards per game. So to get a 48 total, it's risky, but I think what we saw this week, he is the guy. That's it. Zeke, what are you doing? 1 yard per carry? Get out of here. It's just not going to happen. I think the thing with Pollard as well is if you're looking at this week's totals and you don't get on this early and that starts to creep up around that 55 mark, I might be a little bit bothered by that. 56, then you might want to start looking the other way. But look, we went over this last week. Tony Pollard being a receiving back is a myth. That's not really a thing. But look, he's the guy in that backfield. You know, he's getting the run. It's about time he took over. And if you're ever going to do it, you want those explosive players against San Fran. It's going to happen. Look, Ken Walker last week, 63 yards and a touchdown. You know, they struggled at times as well. So it's just one of those things where I think if they're going to simplify their game plan, Tony Pollard has to be one of the focal points for CeeDee Lamb. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I kind of like it. So easy pick for us this week. Look at that. It's at 12 picks. It's wild. Getting around it. Before I get started, before I get going, I'm going to repeat these and punch out these props one more time with a few promos as well. Again, YouTube, subscribe, hit the alerts whenever your favorite Going for Two shows are on. You can find it. Easy. Hit the podcast, whatever. Listen to Speak on it this morning. Fantastic. Those guys are on fire. Get some gambit into you. Monday night, 2-point conversion. Armchair DFS on Friday, Armchair Wednesday, and everything else in between. Get around it. Go to Underdog Fantasy as well. Promo code GF2, 100% matching deposit up to $100. And come find us in our Discord. Chat's going everywhere. Mock drafts happening. All that fun stuff again. Jags at Kansas. We're going Christian Kirk. First game. Christian Kirk, 5.5 receptions higher. Travis Kelce, 6.5 receptions higher. Trevor Lawrence lower than 1.5 passing touchdowns as an alternate. Game 2, Giants at Philly. Jalen Hurts lower than 241.5 passing yards. Daniel Jones higher than 45.5 rushing yards. And Dallas got it higher as an alternate as 47.5 receiving yards, if you like that sort of a thing. Cincinnati at Buffalo. T. Higgins lower than 67.5 receiving yards. Stephon Diggs higher than 79.5 receiving yards. And we're going to go Joe Burrow. Again, watch that line. Watch it move. Check the line. But Joe Burrow lower than 273.5 passing yards. Last game of the week, Dallas at San Fran. Brock Purdy, 236.5 passing yards. Higher. If you don't like that, get him for 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's going to happen. Get it higher when it drops later in the week. Deebo Samuel, 54.5 receiving yards. We're going higher. Tony Pollard higher than 48.5 rushing yards. How easy is that for your week? In 32 minutes. We kept to the timeline, kept to the gauge of the show. Look at that. Never happens. Either way, thanks for joining me this week. We're on a week 2, all that sort of fun stuff, a few good games. Go you Giants. Go you good thing. Get around them. Go on. Get on your boys. Get on your G-Man. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about Philly. 13-1. Piss off. Either way, thanks for joining me. Tune in any other time. Next week, we'll be back. Bunch of fun. Hats off. Not wearing a hat. It's not going to happen. Fuck yeah, Dan. Look at that. Go enjoy yourself. Have a great week. Safe bets. Happy punting. Cheers. Bye-bye.